Hello there and welcome to another episode of the Afcon Show, the show that gives you everything related to the Afcon. It's been a long tournament. It's been an exciting tournament. We've had scandals. We've had referees ending games early. We've had wonderful goals. We've had some crazy unexpected results. And now we have the final. It's the last game of the tournament. I don't know who you want to win. I don't know who you're excited to see take this thing, but it's going either to Egypt or Senegal. It is the love story from the Kop with joy from Klopp. I mentioned this in the last episode. This is the final that many people wanted to see. And I've said it before, we've had a big bang tournament. And with a big bang tournament, you need a big bang cast. You know, someone has to be the Penny, someone has to be Leonard, someone has to be Raj, and then we need to have Ungondo Sheldon somewhere. In this instance, I'm Penny. I'm the one who asked the questions. And my co-hosts, my good friends, Swiso, Sees, Mto, you choose who they are. I know who Sheldon is though. Gents, how are you today?
Oh man, what an intro. I'm doing well on my side, yeah.
No, I'm good, man.
You guys
I have
good?
a question for you, since you always ask us questions. What are these scandals you talk about? You said the tournament's been full of scandals. What are these scandals that you talk about?
Anything that has to
And the
do with
envelopes
someone.
and the money.
Hey, we will never know. We will never know. But actually, you know what? Let me not even say we'll never know, because that's just going to feed into the stereotype of what has plagued the African game. And we don't want people to start thinking, we think that brown envelopes exchange hands. But there's a ref. There are a couple of refs that have made some really shady decisions. I don't know whether the guy who was the match official between Bafana and Ghana was there in the tournament, Asazi. Maybe. If he is there, someone better look. But anyway, getting into it, guys. We are finally here. We've been waiting for this thing. And if you guys have been paying attention, close attention, watching us every week as we release new episodes of the Afcon Show, I'm telling you guys, if you went and you placed a bet by listening to a good gentleman called Sfiso Pengu, you would have made imali. You would have made money. Because all these other guys, nah, they didn't know what they were talking about. Don't tell me about Coach C's. Don't tell me about Umto. I'm telling you about Sfiso Pengu. He said we're going to see this love story from the Kop. Sfiso, how do you feel about your prediction coming through, my friend?
I've been you, bro. I've been you. No, I'm kidding. Hey, man, you know, it's the beauty of African football. I think it would have been criminal not to really look at the big boys and expect them to bamba the big results, you know what I'm saying? So I think more than anything, they had to deliver. They had to deliver. And if they didn't, then I think that was going to be a big upset. So I'm happy, man. I hope people did listen to me. I hope people do listen to my final score prediction for Sunday. Buzz to Lady Man a bit, you know what I mean?
So, my brother, it didn't come together for what you had seen coming through. I don't want us to spend too much time on those that are not going to be in the final, because we want those want people to care about those who are going to be playing in the final. So what are your thoughts on our two finalists?
Hey man, it's unfortunate that I couldn't channel my inner Junior Kanye and do predictions like Sfiso did there and get them right. Also, the one thing we know about Sfiso now is that he listens to a lot of piano, eh? He listens to a lot of the big boys. I got the predictions wrong, but I was very disappointed by Burkina Faso, how they played in the semi-final. But having said that, I was happy about their overall performance in the tournament so far. And focusing on the guys that are in the final, pedigree-wise, they deserve to be there. How they've played so far, maybe not. But as Coach Sizwe said in the last episode, that when you peak is very important. You know, you want to play your bad games early and your good games later on in the tournament. And that's what both these sides have done. So based on that, they've qualified to the final on merit. Yeah.
Man, and we're looking forward to an exciting clash. I don't know about the Burkina Faso game. I don't think it was as bad as you say it was, because I think Sadio Mane did some really, really good things there. But let's not get into that. No, let's not get into the detail. Yeah, but let's not get into the detail about that one. Coach C's, my brother, you've told us, as Nto has just mentioned now, it's about when you peak. It's about when that lost wind, people are running. It's a marathon. Abanye baphathwa a-cramp at the 200-meter mark. Other people start fainting at 100-meter mark. But now it's all about that lost wind, that lost breath. So do you think these two guys deserve to be there? Or is it all about the fact that sometimes it's just luck? It's a bit of the rub of the green.
It's a little bit of both. I think it's a good final, man. It's a dream final. People called it. I think we've got the two best players in Africa squaring up against each other. The best goalkeeper in Africa, and some would argue in the world, in Edward Mendy, and hopefully El Shawani comes back in goal for Egypt. He's the best keeper on the African continent. So yeah, two top sides. We should see a good game, and I thought both sides applied themselves very well in the semi-final. So I guess deserved finalists, and yeah, the top players have also come to the party. So yeah, should be a good final, and bit of luck, bit of good playing, but at the end of the day, when you win the trophy, no one cares how you did it, how you got there.
That is true. And I think that, as you mentioned, this is the final that everybody probably would have wanted. This is the final that the sponsors want to now sign the check for. If there are two marquee players that you want in a final, it has to be Sadio Mane, it has to be Mohamed Salah. And I am emphasizing it's Mohamed, not Mohamed, guys. So please respect me. So, my brother, you are an oracle, not for the games and predicting certain things, but you said something when we spoke about Amaref, right? You said that Victor Combs, our South African Victor Combs, basically went, set a precedent and make sure that things do not go and change, because once you go too far, all of a sudden decisions have to be changed, or people expect that decision to be changed. And now we are hearing today transfer news that someone has said, hey, Victor Combs, we are selecting you, we're transferring you to the final for you to be the match referee for the 2021 Afcon finals. Is this deserved? Do you think that any other ref in this tournament could have potentially been there? Because from my perspective, I think that he has been one of those referees that have actually tried to maintain respect and discipline throughout.
I think right off the bat, what we can all agree on is that we are glad that it's not referee Sikazo that is in the final. So now that we've got that out the way, I think if you watch the AFCON throughout, you wouldn't necessarily fight this decision. You wouldn't have grounds to stand on to say, no, he shouldn't be in the final, right? Granted, you might pick some other referees that also did well. I think it was also a nice touch that referees had their names at the back of their shirts during this tournament. So they may have learned a few names and what have you not. But I definitely think he's had the best performance. I like the way he's engaged with the players. He's not just reprimanding them without telling them why he's making the decision that he's making. And if a player is being booked, you can see that he's explaining as to why this player is being booked, and he's cautioning them to say, please don't do it again, and what have you not. So I think he's really stood out for me. And I'm not just saying that because he's South African, but I think it's deserved that he's in the final, and we hope for a good game.
Yeah, and we do hope that he's not going to pull a Sukazo, as you mentioned. Sis, do you think Victor Combs angabamba a heat stroke somewhere and then just show us a bit of, I don't know, time-wise, we're not sure, but I think he's got a very good track record looking at what he does in the PSL and coming into this game. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's tricky, man, with Victor Combs. I agree with him too, fully, that he's at a top tournament, and I think he's a top ref, a ref that I respect. Sometimes in the PSL, you do get games where he's been in charge, be a bit eventful in terms of red cards, penalties. But I thought in the Afcon we didn't see that Victor Combs. We saw a ref who controlled the game and managed the game, and the game becomes volatile, tackles flying everywhere. And what he did really well, the point that Mto mentions, he managed to speak to the players, manage the game, harsh when he needs to be, humorous when he needs to be, lets the game flow. So he's been very, very good. And I think for a final of that magnitude, there is no better fitting candidate. So congratulations to him, and I wish him all the best.
Sviso, you called it, so I need to come to you first, my brother. We have Sadio Mane, we have Mohamed Salah playing each other. Do you think that they're going to be telling people in the camp, in the team, hey, this guy likes to come on the left, this guy likes to come on the right? Because if we see a Sadio Mane that we saw against Burkina Faso, hey man, I think that Egyptian defense is going to have a very, very long night.
I think pound for pound, if I had to put the two best players rather, on both teams, on either teams rather, in Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah, or Mohamed Salah as you would say, I would say that Mane has probably had a better tournament, to be perfectly and brutally honest. However, I think Salah would probably have something to prove. And we've seen in the big stage that he has been able to be the player that, you know, takes the weight on his shoulders, and probably, you know, carries the team to where they need to be. I think he also probably is as aware that he hasn't really stepped up or had the best of tournaments up until the stage. He's done what he's had to. And I think to a player of that magnitude and a player of that stature, he's done the bare minimum, as most would say. But I think if he's got a point to prove, it will probably be in this game. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. It's honestly going to be a great game. But more than anything, I think we might see a really tight match, just in terms of your question, from, you know, the intel that both the players probably have. But I think, you know, if there's one person I wouldn't rule out to edge the other, is probably Salah, you know, in terms of you know, having that defining moment for the match.
Let's hope that defining moment comes. But Sis, I want to speak about another defining moment. It was Liverpool versus Champions League. Let me paint the picture. Then there was a magician who is a practitioner, a master of the dark arts. And he went and he did something to Mohamed Salah that unfortunately took him out of the tournament.
Allegedly.
Now, do you think that Koulibaly is going to be watching that game to say, hey, can I try those few moves? I mean, of course, we want 11v11. We want the best 11 versus the best 11 to play that final. But do we see a bit of inspiration being drawn by that Senegalese defense to say, this guy is too streaky, he's too slimy, he's too good, so we need to practice the dark arts come Sunday?
Hopefully not. If both teams do their homework on Victor Gomez or Victor Gomes, you'll know that you'll pick up a red card straight away if you apply any of those actions. And you don't want to be that guy that leaves your team 10 men on the field in a final. So hopefully not. But I think, to Sfiso's point, Mo Salah and Sadio Mane are the two most important players for their teams in the final. And for their teams in the opposition, the question is, for the opposition, how do we keep Salah quiet? How do we keep Mane quiet? And obviously for the teams is, how do we get them in the game and get them opportunities? I thought Mane has been slightly a bit better in terms of the spaces that he's taken up. He's found more solutions. And I thought Egypt are heavily reliant on getting Mo Salah feet in between the lines or beyond the lines. And if that doesn't work, then it's a set piece or a second ball situation. Whereas Senegal have found solutions through Mane, but not using Mane. He's come up with a lot of assists. He's managed to drag people out of position. And I think the biggest mistake both teams will make in the final is trying to get solutions to stop Sadio Mane and Mo Salah, and trying to get solutions to say, I want to get goals through Mo Salah and Sadio Mane. I think you should play the game, because you'll end up not creating chances just because you want to sit Mane through and go, or you'll end up compromise. There's other talented players on the field. Ismail Essa, Kouate, Kanake, there's Trezeguet, there's Zizou, there's Mahmoud, lots of guys who can get goals. So I don't think both teams should make that mistake. There's proper talent on the field, so they should give each other as much respect as possible. I don't think it's just going to be about Sadio Mane and Mo Salah.
Yeah, I remember what I said, guys, that I know who Sheldon is here. I don't want to say, but I think I think you guys know who Sheldon is in this cast. But anyway, so my brother, Coach Caesars basically told us that the biggest mistake is going to try to be, let's use this one guy to try and get goals. but then also the other opposition saying, no, let's stop this one guy. And I think it's a bit disrespectful for us to overlook the other players in this tournament, because it's not a one-man team. They have been the star men, and as you mentioned, we wanted the big players to step up, and they have. But now I want to ask you, Coach Cheese has mentioned a few. Out of those bunch, do you think that there are a few players that we need to start looking at in this final, particularly to say that they could be the X factor, should the other two guys not be that for their teams?
Yeah, Sheldon also mentioned a very good point there. Before I just go into the players and who I think is going to be stand out besides the two M's, you know. I think that he says that they should just play the game, you know. A lot of the time, if you get to such a big final, you tend to play the occasion and not the game. So I think very important will be for the players to just treat it as another game. It's a game, give it your best performance, don't play the occasion. Coming back to the players, some of the standout players that we need to watch out for, I do hope from an Egyptian point of view, Hegazi is back on. I think he couldn't finish the last game. So I hope he's back in the final and is able to appear there. And then from Senegal's point of view, I think Sarr on the right-hand side, the fullback, has been very pivotal for them. If you watch a lot of the Senegalese games, they do a lot of their attacks on the right-hand side, and then they're able to switch it that way to the left-hand side where Mane is unattended to, because a lot of the build-up play is happening on the right-hand side. And they've got a very good fullback in Sarr. So I do think that those players will be just some of the few players that we need to look out for. But 11v11, it will be a quality game because you've got two quality teams that have 11 quality players on the field. And with a perfect ref, I think we're going to have a standout game on Sunday.
So you've mentioned 11v11. We're going to have a quality game. We're going to have quality players. We're going to have quality officials. Victor Gomes, shout out. But now I need you guys to give me quality predictions. Coach Sis, your prediction was wrong from the last episode. So we're scratching it out, my brother. We're scratching it out. You have to give us a new one. Are you saying to me that there could be a chance in this world where El Nene has more trophies or more important trophies than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? Is that a possibility?
I wish you had asked Sfiso first, because then I was going to take his prediction. It's difficult, man. It's really difficult. I expect a tight game. And I think I'm gonna go for Senegal for this one. Reason being, Carlos Queiroz red card is in the stands. Roger Tessa 4-game suspension, and I think in a tight game like this, on the field coaching is gonna be important. Yes, with technology and airports. For example, the Arsenal assistant coach, they've nicknamed him Airport Albert because of the airports that he always puts on. It's going to be important, but you can prepare as much as you can, but you need to respond to what's happening in the game. You need to respond to what is Senegal doing, what's happening in the game. And I think the communication then from Desai and Queiroz in the stands to get there might hamper, whereas Alou Cisse is sitting there in the touchline, he's living the game. He can respond to what the Egyptians are doing, and I think slightly for that it will give them a competitive edge. So I'm going to go Senegal for this one, but very, very tight game. Won't be surprised if it goes extra time and penalties.
Hey, maybe we might just get a championship score. 1-0 baby, 90th minute, 89th. We never know. I mean, we nearly saw it with Egypt and the Cameroon game where they nearly scored in the last minute. So that's that kind of game where things are tight, we're sitting deep, and it just needs that one moment of quality. And who else but to deliver those moments of quality than Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane? Mto, my brother, who is taking the biggest trophy on the African continent right now?
These M's stand for Mtobisi, but for this Sunday, it will be Mohamed Salah and Mane. I don't know which M to go for, to be quite honest with you.
As long as it's not triple M, because that's a scam, right?
Wow.
As long as it's not triple M, that's a scam.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I do think, I'm a student of the game, man. I'm not a coach or anything, but I'm a student of the game. But I do like to listen to coaches because I feel the way they look at the game is totally different from how we look at the game. And I heard something that Gavin Hunt said in studio the other day. He said, in such games and in such moments, such tournaments, set plays are very important. They're very critical. And I think on Sunday, they're going to be very important as well. And I think Egypt stand a better chance when it comes to set plays. I've seen what they do in the tournament so far with their set plays. I think they set them up better than what Senegal have done so far. And based on that, I think it's going to be Egypt who win this final. I hope I sound confident when I say that. But yeah, it's really hard to tell, man. But yeah, my gut feel tells me Egypt are going to win it.
I want to quote you from what you said in the other game. Confidence,
yeah, no, I should tell my man. Yeah, I understand.
Confidence, because it's two quality teams, and I don't blame you, my boy. I don't blame you.
Exactly, yeah.
If I have 500 rand, if I have 100 rand, and I don't know what to do with it, my brother, you've predicted the finalists. You've already told us these are the two guys that we're going to see. Who from the COP is taking this?
Hey, please don't quote me on this one. I think finals are very tough. I'll probably be of all of us here today. I'll probably be the one that's on the fence. Interestingly today. No.
You have to pick a side.
Let me give you the context. Right? Let me give you the context. There's three scenarios that I see unfolding here. Right?
Evan.
Lalilan. If the match goes to extra time, Egypt are going to take it. Just off the pedigree of North Africans and knowing how to go the extra mile. If they stretch you to that final round, trust me, there's no coming back. I think they definitely have a greater mental capacity, a greater sense of winning, a greater everything just favors them. I mean, they literally have past winners on the bench. I mean, Wael Goma, Hossam El Hadri, these are people who've known how to win multiple Afcons. So I think that might just be something that probably spears them quite ahead. However, if Egypt cannot stretch Senegal to the extra time, I definitely think Senegal are going to win, and I think Idrissa Gueye is going to be the match winner.
Hey. And it's specific.
Because he said three. No, he said three.
No, the third one. Here's the third one.
Okay.
Oh.
So the third scenario is I do worry about my final. And I think we've watched far too many finals in the past where we've seen, either the game being too tight too early or, certain players not stepping up. I worry that it might be too cagey and an early red card might just spoil the game for us, which I'm crossing fingers that it doesn't happen. I mean, no shade to the referee. I'm really proud that South Africans representing us, but I think it's probably the most volatile character on the African continent to be in the middle of that of that game. And I'm hoping that he can manage it as simple and as subtle as possible for the players. But again, I think there's so many factors. I mean, if a Senegalese defender is just going to be a little too hard on Mohamed Salah, or Egyptian defender is a little too hard on, Sadio Mane, then I just think that might spoil the game if we have an early injury or early booking. That just might make it too cagey. So those are my three scenarios. But I think if I had to lean to one, Senegal are taking it. Idrissa Gueye with the match winner.
On Sfiso's point, he mentions a very good point, and also maybe people to take it with a pinch of salt is sometimes you watch finals. It's like you anticipating a good boxing fight, and you get there and you're like, it's boring. And the point that he mentions about it being cagey is the psyche of players in the final is that you don't want to be the guy who lets your team down. So you're very cautious with your passes. You're very cautious with how you overlap and open up spaces. And that then leads to a cagey, tight game. It's the psyche. You don't want to be the first guy to open up. You don't want to be the first guy to concede, the first guy to be beat by a man. And as that continues, you watch 60 minutes, 70 minutes, and that might lead to a cagey final. So people might watch it and think it's boring, but it's taxing and psychologically taxing on the brain and the emotions of the players to live that for 90 minutes. So I think it's a solid point that Sfiso mentions.
Amen. And I think just in a more serious note, in the social media era, it's very, very difficult as well. So you guys do raise a valid point. But I think, guys, just rewind a bit. Listen to what Sfiso just said. Go to Betway. Hey, we're not sponsored by those people. We're not associated. But anyway, go there. Go wherever you think that you're going to make the most money.
Bets.
And maybe put 10 Rand here. Hedge your bets.
100K.
You know, see what's available. Because this man has given you a playbook where either way, you will win some money by listening to Sfiso Pengu. Guys, for me, I know who's going to take this final. He runs like a man, like a headless chicken, sometimes depending on which game he's playing. But I respect him. He's an Arsenal player. Moal Nene, I know you, baby. You're going to take this one. You're going to give it to Mohamed Salah. You're going to give it to Mohamed Salah. And you guys are going to bring this thing back to the pyramids. So I know that where this championship is going. Gents, thank you very much for your predictions. I hope everyone is going to be listening. Sfiso's giving you guys a playbook and some people can make money. But then we'll see you guys on the next one, on the next axis.